Into the ropes and off. A flying tackle by and a drop kick.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Got to hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the rich.
Gotta be the best that means more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19...
Yeah, was pretty good. And look at what he's going to work now. Ooh.
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of TEW 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. We are here ready for my Vicious Valentine. Pretty solid card in the making for storyline-wise. We got the big one being Pillman versus Eddie Kingston. We got Samoa Joe having a bit of a feud with Pentagon. We got a lot of stuff going on from the last show that we'll kind of recap briefly when we get into it. Should be a pretty solid show. It's a B tier, it's a minor pay-per-view, so it's not necessarily going to be one where major changes and things are happening, but still it's going to be pretty good for us. One of our first of our monthly pay-per-views that we're doing now. I think the last one was Genesis, which we did that one, and it's been doing pretty okay, I have to say. A little surprising that we're making money doing it. My thought would be that we wouldn't be at all. But it seems like the extra ticket revenue and the extra little bit of a bump ended up working out in our favor over the cost of running the show. So super cool. Should be a pretty good sort of advantage for us going forward as we're continuing to build up and go. There was some talk about our alliance titles and what they were set to, because they're not being used much. I did look at them briefly before going through, and everything seems normal. I did set this back to primary. It was at floating before. That may change things a little bit, but seemed like it made sense. But everything is set to normal, with the tag being, I think, floating. Not really seeing anything, so it should be used when possible. It seems like our other Alliance members aren't really using it that much. They might use them on their pay-per-views. Not a huge deal for us, because it does give us some opportunity to boost up some people that we want to, like Ricky Starks here. So, not complaining about that. The other discussion was over our child company. Obviously, CZW has now turned into Championship Wrestling from Philadelphia. It does have a show, and it is on a broadcaster pivot chair for at least 2 more months. They will not be picking it back up. Getting 10% revenue, which is not great. We could try to renegotiate that and see if anybody would be willing to negotiate. Coverage, anywhere. They'll negotiate, yes. So, IWTV is the only person that would be willing to negotiate. What are we looking at here? Minimum quality 10, they're only on demand. They're not willing to offer a deal that long. They would not pay anything for the show. We want 10%. Can we get something more? Yeah, we can. We definitely can. We'd have to pay $1,500 for that show. Okay, so we can get 60% split for 6 months on there. I think that's a better deal for the show. I think that's a much better split for them. Versus this is like worthless. I mean, it has a little bit broader reach. Do we have to? Ugh. No, we don't want to do that. So I think they have to run still for that 2 months, but there's no episode limit. So once this is done, we'll have it right on IW TV for them, and I think that's a much better deal. I think we could do maybe the same for events too. New deal for events. Let's see what we could do. Yeah, 60% seems like the top limit here. Much better deal for them, and that might be helping getting them more solvent there. So they're not going to get the full benefit of that 6 months because they are stuck into the 2 month situation. Though I don't think they're exclusive, so they might be able to run on both. I'm not 100% sure. I'm actually not sure whether they can run on both. I think typically you can't, but it's not, if you couldn't, it's not necessarily 100% realistic, right? Because, if you have like a pay-per-view, you have multiple different pay-per-view. I guess so. I don't know. I don't know the specifics of that too much because a lot of them are regional. So I don't know what I'm saying at that point, I guess. But we have it set up so that at least they'll get 4 months guaranteed of a much better deal. Even and minimum quality needs to be lower. They seem to be roughly the same size, so I think they're going to get a much better deal and get a little bit extra revenue from that. Other than that, they do seem to be doing weekly, or they have a once a month show for TV, and then they have kind of random interspersed shows here. They tape 4 episodes at a time once a month. So they actually have a weekly show, and they film it on Sunday. So, I think that's a no-brainer. I'm happy with that. We'll see if that boosts them up a little bit, because financially they're, not necessarily in the worst situation or anything like that, but they're like $965. They're barely making much money. Let's see what we could see their financials. Tour company. I'm trying to remember where it is now. No, that's not it. I feel like we could see their financials. I might be clicking it. I hate that, like, things are hidden. Like, you just have to kind of know that you can click it. So since we bought them, obviously we absorb all of their income. So it's hard to really see where they are because they don't have any cash at hand. We kind of just pay it off. At one point, they were running negative by like $9,000. Looking at this here, it sure looks like there's a difference in ticket sales and broadcast revenue. So I think broadcast revenue, if we could up this a little bit, that's going to be pretty good for them. No pay-per-view revenue either, which is interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, but I would like them to turn it around and be slightly profitable, just so that there's not a money sink on us, because we are paying for it all. I would prefer if it actually was an investment that we could turn around. So I think that's step one on getting there. So happy about that. Now, we don't really have any hiring decisions to make. We have nothing really crazy like that. We do have Thunder Rosa is going to be off for MMA fight in 46 days. So that's going to be a problem. Availability issues, we'll have to see when we get there, but it's tomorrow night, so we're pretty much pot committed at this point. Let's go ahead and advance to the show. Looks like we got some news. Forgotten Sons ends in WWE. Anybody leave? No. Always kind of keep an eye out for contract extensions that might be helpful. We did have a big purge of workers from WWE, obviously with the with a lot of people kind of getting purged out. Zelina Vega, Tucker, Andrade. We tried to get some of these. Dream, Wesley Blake, Drake, Mickey James. It might not be a horrible idea to bring some of these people in if they are willing. Kalisto, Mickey James, Zelina probably would be pretty strong. Vanessa Bourne, probably not. I think we looked at some of these and said probably no on most of these. But it is a interesting idea to kind of look at some of them and figure out where we want them. Brock Lesnar also gone, so not happening. Neither Daniel Bryan now, I believe, is in AEW already, so not going to get him. But somebody like a Mickey James might not be bad because our women's division does suffer greatly. You see, we're running into the similar issue though of like her skill level, not great. Great microphone work though, which is kind of helpful. I almost wonder, wouldn't hate bring her on as almost a manager, but it's kind of weird how low some of these are. But it might not be a bad option if she's willing. 700. We'll put her on the short list. I don't think we're gonna grab her right now or anything. She's already on our short list. Perfect. So definitely a potential option. Kalisto's a potential option to bring in. Zelina Vega, I'm pretty certain I probably want her in. Even though her skill set also seems oddly low to me. But her charisma off the charts, again, would be a great manager for somebody if we needed to. And her popularity is ridiculous. So I feel like she could carry, we'll just hire her now. Oh, 1900 per show. Jeez. All right. Well, we'll think about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. As I don't know if I'm willing to spend that for a manager and an occasional wrestler that actually doesn't have that great wrestling skills. But we could pair her with another female wrestler that's stronger in physical skills, and it could be worth it. I don't know if it's worth it for 1900. All right, let's get to the show. Auto booked in Memphis, Tennessee. I think we'll keep it. Don't know where we are at. Last show we had was in the Metroplex for Great American Bash, which was 1500. So we're not going to be able to be. We're probably not going to be able to do a show in our arena, our little sound stage that we have. All right, we got something with Rowe and Finley brought before Wrestlers Court and accused of not cleaning up and annoying everybody else. Cool. No backstage incidents. I'll open forum just to let people air some of their grievances. There's some irritation. We have an absent worker, Danhausen, working for Ring of Honor tonight. Not a big deal. We are going to set our broadcaster for Fight TV. And I just want to see where we're at. So we are expecting 2,800 fans. Is really good. If we weren't in the Southeast, if we went to Mid-Atlantic, we would drop immensely. New England drop further. Because we were talking about burnout. I don't think we get burnout at this stage. I think it's only burnout when you're above the sort of regional threshold. So I'd rather stick where we're at and drive it home. And certainly 2,800 fans sounds great. Pick the best option, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's just sort of a total sure. I mean, is there any difference between these? I still don't understand this, to be honest. I'd rather go to somewhere that's super important, but I really don't understand the difference between the area and a specific venue. I think a specific venue is more important. Like, I don't know what the importance is to it. Maybe we can find out real quick. Events and venues. Booking and running shows. This is one of the newer things the TEW did. I still don't have my head wrapped around. I know he talked about it way back when, but I really still don't quite get what the difference is, because it seems like you might as well just pick the city, because it'll give you, the best option. Attendance levels, audience popularity growth, company growth, cost per live show, placement mode. No. What? Where to hold a shows. All right. I've seen each region. For your company growth, you need to consult the size. I'll tell you the region you need to build. Boy, I really don't know. Doesn't really seem like it wants to tell us either. So, broadcasters and media, game world, maybe? I don't know. Venues and locations. Okay, so here we go. So we have locations and venues. Both are held in the same file. Difference of the venues. Slightly more detail, while locations, geographic regions. No advantage using one or the other. Okay. Main information is capacity and importance. Capacity is the simple maximum, and importance has no impact on gameplay and is used. Okay, so there's really no difference. So really, what they did is removed venues. Is really what they did. So you just find an automatic venue. That kind of sucks. You would think that there would be something more interesting about having like your own venue, versus just like, yeah, whatever. You can just be wherever you want to be. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't know if I like that. I think I want to download a pack of just venues. I think it's more interesting when you have to pick a venue and fight over that. All right, whatever. We got a pretty long show to book. There's a lot of stuff to happen. Going back over, this is for the last pay-per-view, but so we won't be able to look at that. But if we were to look at our last show, we will see we had Joe fighting Pentagon Dark and actually getting to a time limit draw. No match officially announced, but clearly we're going to have a rematch for that. And we have Madison Eagles versus Delilah Doom on My Bloody Valentine. And what else we got going on here? Three-way tag match in the pay-per-view. I believe it was a ladder match, is what we said. We'll see if we can actually set that for a tag team. I'm not sure. But Big Kaz, or the team of Enzo and Big Kaz, obviously, and FTR and Devon Eric's in that match. Pillman and Kingston in a main event. Thunder Rosa versus Kimber Lee. Ricky Starks going to have probably a title defense, but nothing announced. I thought we had something. Yeah, Cabana versus Matt Cross. So we got a couple things, nothing super unknown in the fray here. We probably have to have a few more little exhibition matches that can make things interesting. So we'll kind of play that up, because we got a lot of time, 120 minutes. Like I said, it's a minor pay-per-view. It's not going to be a major earth-shattering story event, unless, a title changes hands, a really important title or something like that. We'll have to see how it goes. All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip. Let's get this thing booked. All right, we are ready for My Vicious Valentine. We got a whole 150 minutes in the bank here. We have one issue potentially with a worker, and I tried, and we'll deal with it. It's a shame, because I really should have not worried about it or worked around it, but I'm too stubborn. So other than that, whole 150 minutes in the bag, 88% matches, so it's a heavy match card. I think we got almost everybody in for this show except for like a few people. Even people that weren't wrestling were like ringside for stuff, so I was really happy with that. Should give us a pretty good morale boost for people. Let's get on with the show and see how this plays out. So we start off with a pre-show match with a tag women's match. Deonna Purrazzo, Allysin Kay, Sonia Baranato, and Willow Nightingale. Yeah, it's not great. 34. We give Deonna Purrazzo a win. She submits Sonia, actually, with a Fujiwara armbar. Wanted to see how they handle in a regular match. Two of them are okay in-ring performers, but overall, it just really doesn't do much for us. It's a issue that we will have to deal with at some point with this show, because our women's division is just really bad. It's just really bad for us, and there's really, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. We will have a longer discussion probably in the next episode as we look at some hiring and firing and figure out what we have to do. But it gives us a 34. It's a pre-show segment. Really just did it to see how they balance, if there's any chemistry, and give them something to do so they're not upset about not being on the card. We start the show off right with a pretty solid match, actually. It's a work the crowd match. Got the show off to a strong start. Gained some heat for our Satori Initiative storyline. We got Colt Cabana versus Matt Cross. Matt Cross got a new lease on life after being introduced to the Satori Initiative, the Institute, I should say, by Nick Aldis, who also has had sort of this resurgence of energy and promise, and obviously is led by this charismatic guru, Bowden Austin Taylor, who's definitely not a cult leader, because the Satori Initiative is not a cult. I did not just make another cult. I wouldn't do that. It's not a cult. So, Matt Cross, through the vigor of the teachings of the Satori Institute and the Satori Initiative, finds himself in a win against Colt Cabana, who's trying to tell Matt Cross that the not a cult is a cult. And Matt Cross finds that vigor and puts down Colt Cabana in this competition with a death from above. Matt Cross had a 50, Colt Cabana had a 52. And yeah, it's a great show opener. Matt Cross gets a little bit of lease on life, and Colt Cabana has to kind of wonder what happened. In fact, we are left with the Satori group because it didn't say it, but Bowden and Nick Aldis was watching from ringside, never interrupting, never interjecting themselves, only merely observing Matt Cross here. And they just leave Cabana alone and walk away, and Cabana looks sad, alone, confused, and felt like maybe he was his back was turned on a friend. Nick Aldis kind of helped him out, and he was trying to help him, and it seems like he was abandoned in some capacity after Matt Cross proved that he had that vigor that the Satori Institute provided him, and Colt is left alone in the ring. Does well overall, 46, which is not bad for just a random mix of entertainment skills there. We got Samoa Joe coming out on microphone and saying that he wants Pentagon again. He knows he's here. And this time he wants a no DQ match. So he kind of he's upset about that time limit draw, wants a match with Pentagon, kind of to settle it. A little bit of a we got a 0-0-1 situation here, right? He wants to kind of change that a little bit. Pentagon accepts, obviously, because why wouldn't he? And we are left with a no DQ match later in the night. I don't know how this will go, because I think it's set for hardcore, and I don't think that's really our audience. But we'll give it a shot, see how it turns out. Kimberly versus Thunder Rosa for the title. Again, Kimberly's doing well. 50. Thunder Rosa has a 32. I think her in-ring performance is still lacking. We might still have to tweak her a bit. But Kimberly defeats Thunder Rosa, calling an audible. Thunder Rosa was going to win this title in my booking, but at this point, I am not comfortable giving her the title and then having her run off for 6 months to get into a MMA camp. So Kimberly retains, and obviously some other competitor will face her at some point, perhaps a Zelina Vega or something, and she continues with her defenses. Defense number 6, becoming a pretty seasoned champion for the women's title, one that has typically had pretty limited defenses, I think, in the past. So kind of cool to see. Gets us a 45. Not much to say about it, but it's pretty good. It's about what I would expect. It's green. That's what we want for at this point for our women's division matches. If it's green, I'm happy with it. And yeah, not bad. We debut Levi Cooper in a match against Zicky Dice. It's like a 3-minute match, just to give him a debut. I wanted to see what he was capable of. It's okay. I think this should have been rated higher, but he had a 53. Zicky Dice had a 46. Not really sure why it got penalized. I'm kind of curious. I don't know. Not sure why its segment rating is so much lower than their total performance, but it might have to do with their popularity. But still, it's green. I'll take it. But we get to see what Levi can do. We get him on the card, and he's got kind of like a. We'll see more about his character, but I kind of given him a little bit of like a trucker cowboy kind of thing with him. So we'll see how he shapes up and what his gimmick is. He was defaulted the badass gimmick. We might tweak the name of it to kind of be more reminiscent of, I think, how he's going to debut. But he's going to be very different than the Heavy Machinery character. A little bit more southern Blue Dog kind of thing going on with him. We got Delilah Doom and Madison Eagle. Madison Eagle asked for a match solo with Delilah Doom. Unfortunately, it's in the yellow. It's 38. Delilah Doom does defeat Madison Eagle by pinfall after botched interference by Nicole Matthews, who was ringside. During the match, we also had Nicole Matthews, the same thing, accidentally hit Madison. We advanced the storyline of thought crimes and, some problems here. Madison wanted her solo. Nicole kind of came out, tried to hit, something happened. We know how this works. There's some trouble brewing. Madison alone is not horrible, 41. Delilah Doom's a little weaker, unfortunately, and that kind of hurt us in this segment. Actually, this was pretty okay. I got a warning for this match, and it ended up pretty solid. Could have been better, yes, but I'll take the 53. This ladder match between Enzo and Cass, FTR, and the Von Erichs goes 10 minutes after, and Von Erichs retrieve the title and retain, get defense number 1 officially of their title after having gotten it back from FTR. FTR and Enzo and Cass end up duking it out and basically kind of taking themselves out, leading to a Von Erichs victory here. Overall, everyone did pretty solid, all within the same wheelhouse. So that is pretty okay. We got a bunch of bonuses for everybody. Though Marshall was off his game a little bit. That's unfortunate. And this type of match was a poor choice for the audience. It got the crowd buzzing. There's sort of an issue with it because it was too hardcore for the NWA. So they got a little skittish, which makes my concern for the Pentagon match coming up. We might not get as strong of a match as we would want. But overall, I don't think the penalty was too bad. Looking at this, we were probably going to get like a 56. We got a 53. I'm not going to complain about that. We have a battle royal just to get as many people on the card as possible. and this is sort of just for position on the lower card. Just kind of the person that wins this isn't going to win anything specifically special, but obviously will be kind of looked at for the momentum going forward in the next month. King Mo, our winner of the Circle Square tournament, wins the Battle Royal. The Final Four were Eli Drake, Leo Rush, and Akam. Eli Drake being the final elimination, and Akam getting the most eliminations over the course of the match. Jason Cade strained his wrist, and we gained some heat for All Kingdoms Fall because it has some of the kingdom in it, but it brought the fans down. It was a cool down match. It was a slower match. Got a 46. It's not too bad. Now this is the one. Eli Drake, I tried to make him dominant. I tried to protect him. He just really didn't want to lose this match. And I really want King Mo to win this match. So, the Booker wins, and we'll deal with the ramifications from Drake later. He was very upset about this match. Unfortunately, Jason Cade got injured, and we'll deal with Eli Drake when we deal with it. Ricky Starks, as the Alliance National Heavyweight title holder, gets a rematch, or well, actually, Warhorse gets a rematch for the title. Ricky Starks makes defense number 2. This is a pretty solid match. It's actually a technical masterclass. It's a little bit longer of a match. Ends a little bit earlier than 15 minutes, but gets a submission. Ricky Starks gets a 53. Warhorse has a 33. Another strong win from Ricky Starks, and kind of seals the deal on him being the Alliance Heavyweight title holder. 49 is, I'm not going to complain about that, considering the difference between our performances. So, super happy with that. Ace Austin comes out smugly, saying, there's a lot of great matches tonight that already happened, but, he's the showstopper, and he's got this next-gen title. Means anyone, anytime can, he can lose it at any time pretty much, and, he wants to be on the card. He wasn't put on the card. He feels a little upset he wasn't put on the card. He was offered a spot in the Battle Royal, but chose not to, because he feels like his place is higher. And so he offers a challenge. Who wants a shot at the next-gen title? Unfortunately, he gets a Miro, and he kind of has an expression on his face that's not too thrilled with the prospect of fighting Miro here. No specific comments, but the segment does fairly well because it's a 55. Goes into the match. We have Ace Austin versus Miro for the next gen title. Ace Austin does defeat Miro. It's a 7-minute match, about 8 minutes total. He gets a handful of the tights after throwing flash powder, like a magician's flash powder at Miro and blinding him with some sparkly light. He makes defense number 2 of the next gen title. Austin had a 73, Miro had a 61. Talk about Austin bumping up in performance. He's pulling 73s out now. He keeps this up, he might not need the next gen title for much longer, because he might be a world's champion. I'm just going to put it out there. I could see it. Especially if he's putting this out. And we'll see how our main event does with Kingston and Pillman. But we might be replacing Pillman with Austin at some point. This does a 59. Very solid overall. I'm happy with it. He also takes a stump bump. He's willing to take a stump bump for us. Afterwards, after using the flash powder, grabbing the tights, getting Miro in a cheap win, the refs, the announcers and current champion. As the ref's holding the belt, Austin basically runs past him, grabs the title, rolls out of the ring before Miro can even get up. And as Miro gets up to get towards the ropes, Austin's bolting out of the arena and backstage. So a little scared of Miro, maybe. Kind of cheated to win, but you kind of have to do what you gotta do, and that's Smoking Ace's playbook. So he didn't have anybody ringside, so he kind of had to make those opportunities for himself. This is 55 for this segment, not bad. Pentagon versus Joe is fairly solid. Joe, actually I should say fairly, it's just an exceptional match. We got Samoa Joe versus Pentagon Dark in a no DQ hardcore match, and Joe ends it. He gets he uses a muscle buster, ends up getting Pentagon in a pinfall after a brutal 15 minutes of just hardcore fighting and wild brawling back and forth. Are they done? Probably not, because they had a tie, they had a 1. Joe gets 1 win, but I doubt Pentagon's going to allow it to stand. Gets us a 62 and advances our storyline there for Samoa Joe and gives us a fairly solid co-main event here. And in our main event, actually, the main event lets us down a little bit in this situation. It's a superb match, though, with Kingston and Pillman Jr. for the title. Despite Pillman's injury, he's able to defeat Eddie Kingston in 15 minutes after interference from Jeff Jarrett and makes defense number 2 of the world's heavyweight title. Pillman had a 55, Kingston had a 66. We continued to advance the storyline, got the crowd even hotter. Jeff Jarrett at ringside doing great work, and kind of pretty much officially becoming Pillman's manager. I think Jeff Jarrett's kind of pulling the Don Callis card a little bit. He's really putting in his chips, despite being the general manager, kind of putting his chips in as Pillman being the future and the face of the NWA, and will do whatever he needs to make sure it works. Kingston, despite working the injury, probably had the better hand, but the interference leads to a tarnished victory as Pillman is able to get the win and retain the title. Afterwards, we have Pillman escaping with the cheap win, limping away, clearly still injured, but celebrating with Jarrett as Eddie Kingston looks on in a mix of dismay and rage filling his eyes after what happened. Are the two done? Probably not, but Pillman is able to still retain, still be champion. Eddie Kingston is still coming up just short, and the Kingdom oddly nowhere to be found to help him out in this situation. So kind of a bummer of an ending for him, but Pillman's legacy continues. Gets us a 59. Final show results, I'm thinking it's like a 57? 55, I'll take it. I will definitely take it. Still some weak areas here with that Delilah Doom match kind of hurt us. The rest of it's green. Even the Kimberly and Thunder Rosa match, which that's thankful. A little bit weaker of a card, and we see where our future lies, I think, with Ace Austin putting out some great work here in this match. And the mid card starting to look solid. Who would have thought that Matt Cross versus Colt Cabana would have been like our highest rated match? Yeah, sure. We'll make a speech. I think we're going to have to give Ricky Starks some praise for a great performance. I got to work on Eli a little bit, I think. And then who we want here? How about Levi? We haven't give him some props for showing up. Please, speech. Please. All right. Show went down excellent. We had 2,800 fans in the attendance of it. The injury for Cade is unfortunate, but he's just looking for a few days heal time, so he should be fine. Figures. Okay. 0.01 buy rate, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, I suppose. Financially, I'm curious to see what that gave us. So, end of the month, if that holds, that's a hell of a performance bump. Pay-per-view performance, $4,600. Ticket sales looking strong. Broadcast revenue looking okay. Merchandise doing okay. We're almost at the next level where we could start to merchandise individual wrestlers, though, which is nice. Oh, you know what? Is our development income... Is this our company we own? How much profit you were made by sub companies? So they actually were making some profit for us. They made some $2,000 last month. Made 300 the month before, 500 before that. They're making some money. I think they're gonna make even more money with this new deal. So I'm super thrilled by that. That's certainly not too bad. We ate some loss here initially. That first month they didn't do very well, but we did make some corrections on it. So I'm super thrilled by that position. So we're making a nice little bit of capital. Not a lot, just a little bit. And potentially, if this performance holds by the end of the month, we're starting to cook. We're starting to cook again after that slump. That's super thrilling. I'm excited about that. Eli Drake is annoyed. He's furious at the booking. I'm going to give him... let's see if 1 month paid time off will make him happy. He's still annoyed. I'm going to give him another 2,000 just to try to make him a little bit happier. Perfect. So we'll keep him off the show for a month. That's fine. We'll bring him back. We'll have a promotion, some kind of thing to work with him for. But yeah, it's a little unfortunate. But I wanted that King Mo victory. I think we wanted to build him up as a strong contender for the lower card. I think he's got some legs in the short term. So I was hoping Eli Drake would give him the rub, especially because they were not too dissimilar. I mean, Mo's a little bit less popular, but it is what it is. All right, guys, my Vicious Valentine is done, and we are moving on to Power and then Spring Stampede. Spring Stampede is not one of our bigger shows, so it's still going to be kind of a B show, I think. I think this is another 2-hour show, I want to say. But Clash of Champions after that is going to be one of our big ones. Not sure what we're going to do with it. I'm contemplating doing maybe like a mini tournament leading up to it. There was some talks of the idea of bringing in the Alliance champions. But I don't... It's just very difficult to actually get the loans to happen, to get the talent trades to really happen in a way that is useful. Because we can only do the swaps, we can't just do payment anymore. It's really something that would be great if they changed it at some point, because I should be able to ask for, instead of offering them that, I should be able to ask them, hey, I want this guy. So that makes it difficult for what we were talking about doing maybe a round robin tournament of the Alliance champions and bringing them onto the show. But maybe we'll do a champion versus champion or something. We'll have to look at it. Anyways, that is it for today. Big long episode. Thank you guys for carrying with it, and I will see you next time.